Welcome back. Let's talk about seeded plants. We start with the gymnosperms, the plants with cones like the pine trees, for example. So, plants came to land around 500 million years ago. These early plants were similar to mosses and liverwort. The gametophyte is their main noticeable stage of the life cycle. See the example from before here. You can see the gametophyte is the main form of life that we notice, the dominant stage. After them came the primitive seedless vascular plants, which gave rise to the modern ferns. In these plants, water is still needed for sperm to swim and reach the egg for fertilization. And you can see that here, fertilization is happening. When fertilization happens, a zygote forms and grows into a sporophyte. You see the zygote growing into a sporophyte right in here. In these plants now, this diploid sporophyte has become the main noticeable form of the life cycle. It produces sporangia, which contain the spores. And you can see the sporangia here, these yellow dots. Sporangia. Sporangia also contain so-called mother cells that undergo meiosis and produce the spores. These spores then grow into new gametophytes. And you can see that then here. The life cycle is complete. Over time, plants develop seeds, a big step in becoming less dependent on water. With the diploid sporophyte having become the main physical part of the plant, the evolutionary stage is set for seeds to develop. In this development, it becomes the sporophyte that makes the two different types of sex cells rather than the gametophyte. It is reduced to only a few cells hidden within the sporophyte's tissue. The two different types of sex cells, or now called spores, it produces, are the female ones we call megaspores because they are comparatively very big, and the male ones we call microspores. Because they produce these two types of spores, we call those plants to be heterosporous. The evolutionary older plants, where the sporophyte only makes one type of spore, is referred to as being homosporous. So, in evolutionary older plants, the sporophyte makes one type of spore and the gametophyte produces the different sex cells. They are homosporous plants. In seed plants, the sporophytes makes two types of spores, the larger female megaspores and the smaller male microspores. They are heterosporous plants. Two major adaptations that help seed plants survive on dry land are seeds and pollen. Fossils tell us that earliest distinct seed plants appeared about 350 million years ago. Gymnosperms, the evolutionary older group of seed plants, show up clearly in fossils from the Carboniferous period. They ruled the forests during the Mesozoic era about 251 to 65.5 million years ago. This is also known as the Age of Reptiles. Flowering plants, the angiosperms, took over after that. Seeds and pollen freed plants from needing water for reproduction, allowing them to spread into dry areas. Pollen grains hold the male gametes inside a protective coat. You can see some of them over here. Especially the protective coat looks great. We saw this material before, the sporopollenin. Pollen can travel by wind, helping plants spread out and avoid competing with each other. Seeds protect and feed the plant embryo and can stay dormant or inactive for long periods before sprouting. You can see some sunflower and pumpkin seeds over here. Seeds allow plants to disperse the next generation through both space and time. These new traits make seed plants the most successful plant group on Earth today. Gymnosperms are the older of the seed plants. The word gymno means naked and sperm means seed. You can see that here. Gymnosperms are a group of seed plants whose seeds are not enclosed in a protective ovary. The ovary is what matures into the fruit in the angiosperm. The vascular system of gymnosperms contains mostly tracheids in the xylem. Tracheids are elongated dead cells that are hollow tubes and facilitate water transport. They lack perforations compared to vessel elements of more developed vascular system. The xylem of gymnosperms mainly contains them instead of vessel elements. See here the drawing? Display the side-by-side comparison of the two. Because gymnosperms do not include all descendants of a single common ancestor, they are considered paraphyletic, an evolutionary term that means not all descendants are from one common ancestor. The prefix para, as you can see here, means besides or next to. Pine trees are an example of gymnosperms called conifers. A single pine tree makes both male and female cones. And you can see here's a male cone and here's a female cone. Female cones, also called ovulate cones, grow in the upper tree branches where they may be fertilized by pollen blown on winds from the male cones. Female cones have scales on the inside. And you can see they're inside here. And here you can see a scale. This whole thing is a scale. They hold 2 ovules per scale. Inside each ovule, a megasporocyte divides by meiosis from megaspore to form a megaspore, which develops into a multicellular female gametophyte containing an egg. And you can see the ovule right here, and this darker spot here is the megaspore. Male cones, also called staminate cones, produce microsperm which develop into pollen grains. And you can see this here, this is a pollen grain, this whole thing here. Each pollen grain has 2 cells, a generative cell which divides into 2 sperms, and you can see that here, the generative cell, and here are the 2 sperms. And a pollen tube cell, which grows into a pollen tube, allowing the sperm to migrate towards the female gametophyte. And you see that here. Here's the pollen tube cell right in here, and here's the tube. Pollen is released in large amounts and carried by wind until it reaches a female cone. Once a pollen grain arrives, the pollen tube grows slowly, carrying the sperm cells. One sperm cell will unite with the egg's nucleus, fertilizing it to form a zygote. The zygote becomes an embryo protected inside a seed coat made from the parent plant. It can take up to 2 years for the seed to mature. A pine seed has 3 layers: a seed coat from the parent plant, the female gametophyte that stores food and will provide the nutrients, and the embryo, the new sporophyte. Conifers are the largest group of gymnosperms. Most have needle-like or scale-like leaves covered with a waxy layer, helping them handle cold and dry environments. They're also plentiful in high altitudes. Conifer wood is often called softwood because it mainly has tracheids, not vessel elements. Look at these beautiful conifers. The evergreen spruce, right here, makes great Christmas trees. We have the pyramidal shape right in here. And they also often have blue-green waxy needles. The sequoia is the world's largest tree and is native to California. They have a fire-resistant bark of up to 2 feet thick, which plays a significant role in their long lifespan. The oldest sequoia lived to be 3,266 years. The juniper tree live in many dry, rocky, or sandy areas across the northern hemispheres, including North America, Europe, and Asia. It, along with the berries and their sap, have been used for medicine and provide food and shelter to animals and humans for a long time. Early pioneers used their wood for building materials and their soft bark to make bedding and even use it for toilet paper. Did you believe that? And lastly, the tamarack is native to Canada and the northern US. Cycads live in warm areas and resemble palm trees with large leaves. They produce big cones that are sometimes pollinated by insects rather than the wind. Many species lived during the age of the dinosaurs. Modern cycads are rare and some are endangered. Ginkgos are next. The only surviving species is the Ginkgo biloba. You can see that over here. It has fan-shaped leaves that turn bright yellow in autumn. It is resistant to pollution and often planted along streets. Male and female reproductive structures grow on separate trees. Neophytes are considered closest to angiosperm, which are our next group, the flowering plants. There are three main genera: Ephedra, Nidum, and Welwitschia. Ephedra is used to make ephedrine, a strong decongestant. Like angiosperm, they have xylem with both tracheids and vessel elements. These four divisions show the variety within gymnosperms. From towering conifers to rare desert plants, gymnosperms within their hardy seeds and efficient water transport systems have been successful for millions of years and still play a major role in many ecosystems around the world. Lastly, let's now cover the angiosperms.